Now, that is with a load of £80,000. Tesla says there will be a 1,000,000-mile guarantee, and still at a 5% incline, this truck will be able to move at 65 miles per hour. So it all sounds a little bit too good to be true, is it? We're going to bring in our guest now. James Chao, Asia Pacific Managing Director at IHS Automotive, joins us from Shanghai. So, James, is it all too good to be true?
Well, it was certainly an exciting announcement, and Elon Musk is trying to turn conventional wisdom on its head again, but a number of questions remain. So we learned a lot more about the truck, as you said, 500-mile range, which is fantastic, 25% lower per mile costs, as Elon Musk mentioned. But one big question is, how will these vehicles be charged? How quickly can Elon Musk create the mega charger, as he calls it, network across, let's say, the United States interstate highway system? So that's one big question.
I mean, one of the other issues is the price. These things are not going to be cheap. So yes, they might be revolutionary, but does the trucking industry really need this kind of cost? Do people really need to spend so much money to get something that's revolutionary? Or do you think people might think, nah, not for me?
Well, I think there's a bit of interest already. We saw Walmart announce that they're going to be testing a few of those trucks. A big big trucking company, fleet operator called J.B. Hunt will also be testing them. I think the interest from the industry is the following. If the per mile costs can be reduced as significantly as Elon Musk says, this could be a real game changer.
But the other issue as well is reliability, isn't it? I mean, Tesla is very good at PR. It's very good at getting the journalists interested, people like you and I talking about their products. But the fact is, they've had problems meeting demand in the past. If there's demand for this, how can they guarantee they're going to be reliably able to get these things on the road?
Well, that's a good point. As we've seen in the past few months, the Model 3 production startup has been slower than expected. I would expect that there might be some delays in the truck, but if they can deliver the goods, so to speak, if they can deliver a truck that has that per mile cost that he claims, or just close to it, I think it could be very significant to trucking companies in general that are trying to move goods across the United States and perhaps throughout the world.
And James, just stay there for a moment. I'm going to come back to you in just a second. But first of all, I just want to explain to our viewers what else we saw, because what they did yesterday was they pulled off a real PR coup. We knew that this truck was going to be announced. Tesla had teased it. The invitation even had an outline of a truck on. What they did was they diverted journalists' attention away from something else. And then we had a big surprise at the end when this truck opened and out came a Roadster. Now, the Roadster is a model that Tesla unveiled a few years ago. They've updated it. It's a sports car. It now has 4 seats. It can go from 0 to 60 in 1.9 seconds. Absolutely phenomenal speed. They reckon you'll get 650 miles out of this on a single charge. But the price, as you would imagine, this is not going to be a cheap car. We are talking $200,000. That is for the base model. You're also going to have to put down $50,000 as a deposit. James, this is going to be an expensive model. Do you think it's still going to shift, though? I mean, there's still a lot of demand for very expensive cars, isn't there?
Well, there sure is. And this is what we call, in the industry, this Roadster, the second generation Roadster, is what we call a halo model. It'll be a very low volume car and it'll be extremely expensive, but it'll gain a lot of attention. The second significance of this model is that we're now into the second generation of Tesla models. So some of the Tesla models are getting a little long in tooth. So this shows what they're thinking of in terms of their second generation. So I would suspect that we would see some of the features that the Roadster 2 has been introduced into models like the Model S, the Model X, and then eventually a second generation Model 3.
And just briefly, I mean, Tesla's share price has been a little bit wavy over the years, and obviously this is good news today because we've got the initial reaction. But 2 years before the truck comes out, how do they keep that share price up? How do they keep people interested? Because you get the impression there's still a bit of development that has to take place here.
Absolutely. I think that the key in the short term, before the production and sale of the truck, is the Model 3. 2018 will be a big year for them to prove that they can ramp up production of that Model 3 vehicle and start to produce significant cash to fund, of course, their operations and to fund, of course, the launch of the truck model.
All right, James Chao there from IHS Automotive joining us from Shanghai.